It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grandy.
Consumers across all income levels have money. They've got 50% more, essentially, than they did pre-pandemic.
Lie detector test determined that was a lie.
If spending's up 2.7%, though, that's well below the rate of inflation.
Well, if you look at the credit card data annualized over the last 3 months, it was actually at 4.8%. So that is outpacing inflation.
It's just unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. What is it's amazing. What is it these people don't get? I think they get it. But as I told you before, these jibber jabbers on these financial shows, their job is to give you confidence, to get you to go out and buy stuff. Remember, they play to their advertisers. You know, everybody's got to pay for airtime, whether you're on TV or radio show. You have sponsors pay for it for you, or you do it yourself, or everybody. There's no free ride. There's no free ride. And if you notice, all these programs, whether it's Bloomberg on TV or Fox Business, and you see the majority of the advertising, I think it's 62%, is manufacturers of automobiles. And they fight for that. So, and they really know who's producing more buyers. Is it CNBC? Is it Fox Business? They know. They track it. And then that's how they award their advertising dollars. And it's a vicious game between these people. So everything that you hear is absolutely nuts. None of it's true. I mean, to come out and say how the economy's doing well or the housing market's doing well, I mean, it's just insane. When we have an economic headwind that is so brutal, we're not growing. Our economy is not growing. We talked about this yesterday. When Trump took over, remember, he left Biden with an economic growth of over 6%, inflation 1.4%. Then, remember, about 2 months later, he comes in with the American Rescue Plan, Biden. And that's when everything blew up. 2 months after he got into office, he signed the American Rescue Plan. We talked about this yesterday. That's when inflation hit a 40-year high. So you're just not going to get, and they can't get rid of that inflation. Taking too long. It's not working. They had to get in there and raise rates to 9-10%, get rid of it. But what's happening is the inflation keeps growing faster than the economy. So we went from 6.5% GDP growth 1 year later after Biden got into office to a GDP growth of 0.9%. Can you imagine? 6% to less than 1%? Inflation exploded. 1.4% exploded to over 6%. Now come housing. You know, it's interesting. Yesterday we were talking about how this American Rescue Plan, okay, you take the American Rescue Plan and you take the debt in our GDP ratio, it's 130, should be 60. That's a lethal combination. I mean, it reduced our purchasing power. It's taken our income and eroded it. We got this 40-year high inflation we got to contend with. We can't get rid of the debt because all we're doing is we're spending more than we're taking in. That's called the deficit. We take the deficits, we roll them over, have China fund them for us, which means we never can pay down our debt. And then they keep raising debt, keep raising the debt ceiling. Something's got to give, and it started to give. Remember I told you a couple of weeks ago, I said the banks, They're going to be the last ones in this crash. And I told everybody, we're going to go right through that October low. Remember the October low? October low. Everybody talk, oh, it's the October low. It's the bottom. The bottom's in. Buying a dip, buying a dip. Give me a break. How'd that work out? Terrible. Buying a dip, buying a dip. What are you, nuts? So a few weeks ago, I told you, remember I said, even though we're a republic, we have two areas of socialism, Social Security and banking. Because, remember, housing is the main driver, real estate is the main driver of our economy. Without housing, we're dead. We don't manufacture anything. And then you take the banks, they're the ones that support the housing. Housing alone contributes 18% to our GDP growth. That doesn't count, okay, the wider economy, meaning that from housing, I mean, we get construction, we have furniture companies, we have appliance companies, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah, that's how you grow the economy. But what happens is, and they do this on purpose, because housing is all we know, the banks and the government are one. They're together. Did you ever notice after the 2008 crash, the housing crash, they never regulated the banks? The only industry wasn't regulated. Because it'd be like the government regulating themselves. So the banks, okay, and housing, okay, they create the bubbles. Housing creates our economic bubbles. Bush knew that after 9/11. What's the first thing he did? He wanted to create a bubble. He wasn't going to create another dot-com bubble. So what did he do? He created a housing bubble. What did we do in 2020? Did we want to grow our productivity, increase our productivity, increase manufacturing? No. What first thing we went to? Let's create another bubble. Which kind of bubble? Housing bubble. So after 9/11, they go and they create the housing bubble. After 2020, what did they decide to do there? We better create a housing bubble. So housing and the banks are one, and they're a bubble machine. They make the bubbles. I mean, it's not hard to figure out. That's all we do. Make these bubbles. So during that time that we had they were creating a housing bubble, 2020, and remember what they did. The Congress comes out, prints all this money, and instead of taking the money and increase productivity, increase jobs, increase business investment, they took all that money and they threw it again at what? Housing. So home prices went up, boom, overnight. My God, it was insane. Houses went up in 24 months, as you know, anywhere from 30% on the low end to 80, 90%. 24 months. That's how they're going to grow the economy. They decide they're going to grow it with housing. Again, they always go back to housing. So we created that bubble. How'd that work out for us? How'd that work out for the banks? We'll talk about that when we get back. And how we're going to make money in this situation as the banks collapse and we go through the October support.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
I believe that every single human being with a laptop computer and an internet connection should be required to give trading at least a shot.
Following Bill, his charting system has really been a huge impact on my career and my life.
I believe that every educated individual on planet Earth.
I would recommend Bill's gang to the mom and pop out there. I would recommend it to parents teaching their children. I would recommend it to grandparents.
Should do this. It's not for every single human being on Earth. I know this. but it's one of those things that you should try, because if you happen to get it right, if you happen to be one of the ones that this is for.
Follow the money. Follow Phil Grandy.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free.
What's in front of you is a life of incredible joy, freedom, and independence.
Philsgang.com. What, are you nuts? Coffee's up 92%. Lumber's up 67%. Heating oil, what, 60%? Gasoline, 55%. I understand why you guys are telling me to raise my rates here at Phil's Gang, but we haven't raised our rates since 2001. Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. I'm not going to raise my rates. Our membership's been $39.95 since 2001, and for a good reason. So that you have enough room that when you do make money here at Phil's Gang, and you will, because you're going to learn how to short stocks, that there's enough room to send some money to St. Jude. That's why we never raised our price. And that's why we give you good value. So, you want to continue with good value, good information, be on the right side of the market? Join my gang, philsgang.com, where the price has not moved, where we fight inflation. philsgang.com.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently? Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level. Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy and sell to help maximize profits. Sign up for a 10-day free trial to see our platform in action. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here. And it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
For many around the U.S., the weather is about to change. Longer days and warmer weather. Just as you prepare for weather changes, you need to be prepared for the changes in the market. And Phil Grandy is your daily guide for when you need to buy or sell and maximize your earnings. Sign up for a 10-day free trial to see our platform in action. Avoid market pitfalls and navigate the market with confidence with Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. Phil Grandy has successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free. If anything, during that 10-day period, you're going to learn how the market really works. You're going to find information that you never had before. You're going to walk away and go, I didn't know that. So join my gang for 10 days free, philsgang.com. And you're also going to learn how to make money when the market goes down. It's kind of silly just sitting there when the market going down, hoping. Why hope when you can sell short and make money? Either way, you make money when the market goes up, you make money when the market goes down. That's the benefit of Phil's Gang. You make money.
Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level.
philsgang.com. Sign up free for 10 days.
Welcome back. Are you ready to make profits in the stock market? Why not check out philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
And welcome back. You know, it's amazing. I was watching, or Willie was watching, my producer, during the break, and he's watching one of the business channels, and Fox Business, and they're telling everybody, start buying the banks. Good time to buy the banks. What, are they nuts? Are you kidding me? Buy the banks? The housing market's destroyed. I mean, buy the banks? Are you kidding me? They're destroying, the government is destroying, working together with the banks to destroy them so they can create another bubble. And now let's put it a nice way. The United States government is working with the banks, which they control, to pop the bubble so they can create another bubble. In other words, the banks, when we started in 2020 and they put in that COVID Emergency Act and created all this money, socialism, they'll pay for everything for you, instead of creating productivity and using that money for business investment to increase economic growth. No. They didn't do that. They took that money and they set up a new bubble, and housing took off. That's all they know. Now what's happened? Well, now when the American Rescue Plan came into place 2 months after Biden took office, okay, on top of all that other money, our debt was going through the roof. Debt was going crazy. And then what happened next? At the same time, that's when we started to cut, as I said yesterday, we cut oil. We took 5 of our states that produce 72% of our oil. And what did he do? He shut them all down. And of course, that was the same time he shut down XL Pipeline. So are you kidding? So on one hand, what he's doing is he's inflation starts going up, which is pushing house prices up. Remember, and the house prices during that COVID, you remember they kept interest rates so low, people went nuts buying houses. But that's all turned around now. A few weeks ago, I said to my members, and I got it right here. I said it to you, my listeners. Be patient. The banks are going to collapse. Just like the housing, those stocks are going to collapse. They're the last to go because there's a lot of institutional money in the banks and in the housing stocks. Be patient. They're going to break big. Okay, so then what do we do? So I said to my members, we're going to start shorting the banks when nobody was going to short the banks. I said, let's start shorting. Now, that was that 2 weeks ago? And then about 2 weeks ago. So we started to short the banks. Everybody thought we were crazy. And so then what happened was Steve, he knew that the regional banks would take a big hit. Because as I told you, when we started that COVID and the bank gave all that free money and low interest rates and the housing market had this huge boom and took off big, now we're at a point that the Fed interest rates went from 0 to 4.7%. That means that the 10-year Treasury yields also went up, which means your housing mortgages went from 1.3%, 2%, up to now 7%. So now housing applications have stopped. Banks make big money on housing applications. The whole country makes money on housing, because from housing comes the appliances, comes furniture, comes our whole economy. So those prices went up so high. Now what happens is the folks, their wages aren't going up, so they're not buying houses. Now the banks are sitting there. Now remember, the banks and the government are working together. They created the bubble. When COVID hit, the banks and the government are one. They're a gangster group. Okay, they're a bankster group. So they said, let's take the next couple of months. Let's really take this housing market and really let's go with it. And houses went nuts, as you know. So now housing's collapsing, and I said a couple of weeks ago, these banks, they're going to be done, because I've seen them do this before. Every time they create a housing bubble, and the banks no longer can make money, the government and the housing industry is one. They will collapse it by crowding out. What's that mean? What they do is to crack the bubble so they can start a new one. And remember, you got to understand, the banks, they don't care if they crash, because the banks have the government. They're the safety net. They don't care. How did they do in the 2008 crash? Did the banks come back? Of course they came back. After the housing crash, the government, who's their partner, came in, bailed them out, took all their bad mortgages off their books, and shifted all the bad subprime mortgages off their books and to put them on the Federal Reserve books. They're still on the Federal Reserve books. All those bad subprime loans of 2008. Does anybody ask, where are they? Hey, where are they? Where's all those loans? They're sitting on the Feds down in some cellar somewhere on their balance sheet. So once they created that bubble and then they broke it, then they had to bust the bubble because they have to start over again. So that's what Bush did in 9/11. Let's start a new bubble. And then the COVID. Hey, let's start a new bubble. So now we're at the peak of the bubble. And 2 weeks ago, I told my gang members, start shorting the banks. And 2 weeks ago, I said, be patient. These banks are going to collapse. And 2 weeks ago, and one thing I knew, they're going to start crowding out. To bust the housing market, to bust the bubble, they crowded out after 2008. After Bush deal, they crowded out, and are now crowding out right now, and we're seeing it. What does crowding out mean? I'll tell you when I get back.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
I believe that every single human being with a laptop computer and an internet connection should be required to give trading at least a shot.
Following Phil, his charting system has really been a huge impact on my career and my life.
I believe that every educated individual on planet Earth.
I would recommend Phil's gang to the mom and pop out there. I would recommend it to parents teaching their children. I would recommend it to grandparents.
Should do this. It's not for every single human being on Earth. I know this, but it's one of those things that you should try, because if you happen to get it right, if you happen to be one of the ones that this is for.
Follow the money. Follow Phil Grandy.
Oh my God.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. That's right, philsgang.com. Join my gang for 10 days. It's free.
What's in front of you is a life of incredible joy, freedom, and independence.
philsgang.com. Remember, when this market crashed in 2009, it should have never crashed, because the chairperson of these two committees, their job was to protect consumers, protect our investments, and they're supposed to ensure that our investments are being monitored. Where were they in 2009 and 2008? They weren't anywhere, because they don't do that. They take care of themselves. They protect themselves. They become richer. So you can't depend on these crooks in Congress. The stock market is a great place to be, but you just got to know this is a different market than your grandfather's market. So why don't you, for 30 days, join my gang, 877-600-GANG. Try it for 30 days, $39.95. Follow me. I tell you when to buy, when to sell, when to add, and when to run like hell. All I ask you, start making money. Please remember St. Jude.
Don't wait. Join Phil's Gang today and make profits. Go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy. Is your business prepared to respond to any emergency in the workplace? Well, you better be. Let over 30 years of law enforcement experience go to work for you. Boyd Investigative Group is here for all your business security needs. I know. I use them. They're terrific. Call today for your free confidential consultation. 941-724-4535. That's 941-724-4535. Or visit them on the website, BoydInvestigativeGroup.com.
License number A1900020.
When the stock market is volatile, how do you invest intelligently?
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. There's no need for you to be panicking in a market that goes up 800 points one day, 700 points, then it goes down again. All you need is good advice, need good direction. You don't get that from your CNBC and the Fox business and all these crazy shows. You don't. Here's what you get from them. Thank you, Jim Cramer. But this is something that this really bugs me. Listen to this.
Our responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
What? Their responsibility is to their partners and shareholders and not to you? Check my site out, philsgang.com.
When the stock market is up one day and down the next, you need the experience of Phil Grandy at philsgang.com.
What a difference it makes in your financial life. philsgang.com. It works. You're not alone. 80% of those in the stock market, just like you, lose money. Hi, I'm Phil Grandy, philsgang.com. Why do they lose? Because they don't know how to short stocks in down market. That will change once you use my patent Pro 2 color-coded chart. It works. The technology works. And it not only gives you an edge on the upside, but Pro 2 will put a smile on your face on the downside. That's right. Check it out. Free 10-day trial at philsgang.com.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently? Become a Phil's Gang member and receive the training, advice, and software that will take your investing to the next level. Our team is comprised of successful investors, all with proven track records. Phil's Gang software is easy to use, painless to navigate, and tells you exactly when to buy and sell to help maximize profits. Learn about common market mistakes and how to minimize them. Phil's Gang has successfully taught tens of thousands of investors how to navigate the market with confidence. You don't need to be a seasoned investor to benefit from the Phil's Gang platform, no matter what level of investor you are. Phil's Gang strategies for investing are designed to put you on the path to success. Sign up for a 10-day free trial to see our platform in action, avoid market pitfalls, and start winning with Phil's Gang. Learn more at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Welcome back to the Phil's Gang Radio Show. Want to know more about Phil's Gang? Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
Now, with these banks, listen to me closely. Stay short with these banks. You're going to hear these jibber-jabbers come on, and they're going to tell you, buying a dip, buying a dip. Banks now start buying. We're hearing it right now. During the break, we were hearing it. Give you a good example. What was the one that just popped back? J.P. Morgan, I think it was. All right, so here's one of our banks, J.P. Morgan. This is amazing, these people, these gangsters. So J.P. Morgan, and this is in the middle of crowding out, and I'll explain that in a minute. So J.P. Morgan, for about, I think I started back in, if I'm right, I started back in February. I said, watch, all these banks are going to collapse. I said, watch J.P. Morgan. And so J.P. Morgan yesterday, all of a sudden, I mean, it just dropped. Matter of fact, it started to drop on March 6th at around $143, and then boom! I mean, yesterday it got clobbered, okay, and then it went down to about 120. It went down to about 128. So that's about 10%. I showed my gang. I said, switch your charts to a line chart because these are going to snap back. We know they're going to snap back. And this is where everybody makes a mistake. They listen to these jibber-jabbers telling you to buy these banks. They're now a good deal. Buying the dip. Are you out of your mind? So what happens is the people like us who short are now taking some profits. So it went from a low, if you look on your line chart, it went from a low of 129, and now it's up to 133, and you got people jumping out. They're getting scared. They're stopped shorting. No, when that pulls back like that, it's going to drop again and go right back to its low of 129 and then drop even bigger because nothing's changed. So when these banks drop like yesterday so fast, professionals like myself will come in and if we shorted them, we get our profit by buying them back. That's why they snap back. But that snapback is, think of it like a slingshot. You pull it back and you get more velocity on the way back down, and everybody's listening to CNBC and Fox to buy in the dip, and they're all going to lose money. Well, hell with them. We're going to keep making money. So let me get back to this crowding out. So understand this, the banks in our government are one. They've been run ever since Dodd and Frank, those two gangsters, were in the Senate and in Congress. Those two gangsters, remember, cut deals with Fannie and Freddie Mae to take all the bad loans. Fannie and Freddie Mae, if you remember, the banks who took a loan, Fannie and Freddie wouldn't buy those loans unless they had credit scores of 750, 800. When 9/11 hit and Baby Bush runs up to Atlanta, tells everybody in Atlanta, we're going to give you a house no matter if you have a job or not. And then then Dodd and Frank forced Fannie and Freddie to take all crappy credit. Remember, a bank, if I had your mortgage and I wanted to sell it, I always sell it to Fannie and Freddie, but they wouldn't take it unless my credit score was 750, 800 on that product. A lot of the credit scores were 300. So Fannie and Freddie went bust. You and I had to bail them out. So this is what I'm talking about. Congress and the banks are one. So that's what they use, housing, to get out of all their jams. But this time it's not working. So when 2020 came, COVID came, they did the same thing, just like they did with Baby Bush. So this time it's not working. So now they're saying, okay, so what we got to do now is we got to break this bubble. These houses that went up in 24 months, 60, 70, 80%, we got to bust those prices, bring those back down so that the banks and me, government, we're partners. You and I are partners. We got to create another bubble so we can make money for you. Remember, the banks are the only ones that can enjoy that. The banks can sit back and let their businesses go to hell, and they're happy. Because they're just going to start another bubble because you got the government behind you bailing you out. Would you like to have a business like that? Where you run your business up, you make a lot of money, but now you got all this debt, and the government comes and says, don't worry, I'm going to be your partner. We're going to bankrupt you, keep all your profits, put it in your pocket. We're going to bankrupt you, and then what we're going to do is come back in after you're bankrupt, and we're going to give you more money again, and then you can build your business, and you and I are partners, and we're going to build it again. That's bubble making. How do they do that? It's called crowding out. What they do is, and like they're doing right now, they go and tell you, look, you got at the savings banks, you are making right now interest. Oh, what was the interest? If you had if you're with the bank and you got a 10-year CD at 4%, 10 years you got to keep it at 4%. We're going to turn around and give you a 3 months at 5%. So you can loan to us, the government, loan me money for 3 months, and I'll give you 5%. Wait a minute. What the hell are you doing? You're crowding out the banks. This is what they do. That's why I'm trying to tell you they're partners. So they're making this bubble bust on purpose, and they do it by making sure everybody that's savings at the banks, they get the word, hey, why are you staying at the banks? Are you an idiot? You're going to collect 4% over 10 years? I'm going to give you 5%. Me, the government, me, Congress, going to give you 5% over 3 months. So everybody leaves the bank. Now, here's the problem. When everybody leaves the money, shifts their money out of the bank, and they go to the government, loan to government money, what happens at the bank? The bank doesn't have much money left. The money they have left, they don't want to run on it, so they raise the rates. So a business who's just started up and needs a line of credit for equipment and so forth, he goes into the bank and he wants to borrow $50,000, and they say, well, we want 12%. What? So they this kills our economy, because our economy, and the backbone to our economy, is small business. Without small business, we have no economy. Zero. So that's what crowding out is, a partnership between the banks and the government. They go in and they incentivize everybody to pull their money out of savings. No money at the banks. What money's left at the banks, they have to raise rates up, and then small businesses come in. That's the bottom line. I mean, that's the cornerstone of our economy, and they can't expand. They got to start laying off people now, and that's why this market's going to go down even more. And here's our GDP to prove it. Our GDP right now, are you kidding me? Not even 1%, 1.1%, I think it is. We should be at least at 4%, and inflation's at 6%. So the banks are going on. So the other day, Steve says to me, you know what? These regional banks are really going to take a bath because they're going to be crowding them out. And so last Tuesday, was it last Tuesday? Last Tuesday, he shorted, I think it was Tuesday, he shorted KRE. That's the ETF for all the small regional banks. Did you see what happened yesterday to the small regional banks? What a trade that was. I'm not sure where we shorted it. I think it was around 60 or 59, something like that. And it tanked big time yesterday. Why did it go down so fast yesterday? Because they're being crowded out. Because here's what happens. The banks don't have enough liquidity. The little regional banks, they don't have enough liquidity. So they have to go take their assets, which their only assets are treasuries, and they go start selling their treasuries to have enough liquidity. So when the customer comes in and says, I want to close out my savings account because I'm going to take the money and lend it to the government, they're not going to say to the government, gee, we don't have any money. Can you wait a week or two and come back? No, they sell their treasuries to get liquid. Now, what happens when they sell their treasuries? The market gets worse. This is all part of crowding out. Isn't it amazing? More when we get back. Join my gang for 10 days free. Learn how to sell short for God's sake.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG. Good investing means understanding how the stock market works.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. You know, if you really want to make sense of this market, you can't be listening to the fake Business News Network. They will not tell you the truth. They're to get you excited, to make sure you go out and you're happy so you'll buy something. That's not what we do here at Phil's Gang. We give you the truth, the direction, and that's what you need. Listen to me on my radio show each day and also on my Rumble and YouTube channel podcast. philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
Thinking about investing in the stock market, go to philsgang.com, where we have over 50 years experience in trading and investing in the stock market. Phil's Gang teaches you how to make profits in the market with stock chart analysis, up-to-the-minute alerts, and always keeping you informed with professional guidance in long and short-term positions. Go to philsgang.com or call one of our professional staff to answer your questions. 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Stop wondering about your financial future and start doing something about it.
When the stock market is up one day and down the next, you need experienced advice from a pro.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. I know you're sitting there watching the stock market. You're going, what? Is this nuts? Market goes up 700 points. Next day it goes up 800 points. Then the market goes back down. Then it goes back up. What that is volatility.
You want to invest your money and grow your wealth. How do you invest intelligently?
But you got to anticipate what's going to happen with the market. And that's what we give you. Information so you can anticipate in advance what the market's going to do, so you know what stocks to buy, you know what stocks to short. It's all about having good information and anticipation. You got to anticipate. The one thing you can't do is rely on your brokers. Listen.
Our responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
What are you, nuts? Partners or shareholders? You're not included.
Check out the free 10-day trial and follow Phil to investing success. Learn more at philsgang.com. philsgang.com. Short on time but want to invest in the stock market? Let philsgang.com help you. For only $39.95 a month, you get complete access to all of Phil's powerful investing programs, videos, and resources.
That works for me. Log in, watch the videos, and make profits.
Find out more at philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. philsgang.com. If you want to invest your money and grow your wealth, listen to this.
Hi, I'm Phil Grandy at philsgang.com. You know, I get so tired of listening to the same garbage every day, listening to the fake business news network telling you why you should buy this stock, why you should buy, and they're always wrong. Join my gang, philsgang.com, free for 10 days. You're going to learn when to buy a stock and when not to buy a stock. Hey, years ago it was different. You could buy a stock based on fundamentals. You could buy a stock based on earnings. You could buy a stock based on PE ratios. Those days are gone. That ended with QE. That ended when they financially engineered the market in 2008. Gone. Now you got to follow the money. And we have the knowledge because we have the chart. Pro 2 color code chart tells you when to buy, when to sell, when to run like hell.
For a limited time, you can join Phil's Gang free for 10 days.
Check it out, philsgang.com. Get the truth, get the knowledge, and understand how the market really works.
Are you a stock market investor without all the information?
What are you, nuts? Market's going up, market's going down. We're getting all this bad information.
How do you invest intelligently? Phil Grandy can show you.
If you want real information and you really want to know what the market's going to do and you want the truth, go to my site, philsgang.com, and also listen to me on my radio show every weekday at 3 o'clock Eastern.
Phil's got the answers at philsgang.com.
That's philsgang.com, where you get the truth and you get the information you need about the market.
Welcome back to the Phil's Gang Radio Show. Want to know more about Phil's Gang? Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Now, here's Phil.
Welcome back to Phil's Gang. Remember, listen to us, my podcast on YouTube, my radio podcast, YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Facebook. Okay, so make sure you're listening to us on podcast. All right, so here's what I want you to understand. So we knew, and that's one thing about joining our gang. You just don't get the hot stock. Yeah, I met with the CEO last night. He's got a good friends. We go, buy. No. That doesn't do anything good. You want to know, how does the market work? Like, give you an example. Every morning, right, the market, we close down like today at 444 points, which we are right now. But let's say tomorrow was Tuesday. You would know tomorrow morning, it would say implied open on your screen. It's always either 35 or 65. So how do you get from 448 negative, close the market tonight, down almost 500 points, and then tomorrow morning, was Monday, it would say implied open 65.35. Because what they do is they push the yield down, pre-market, push it down, because they want everybody to get excited and jump in the market when it opens. That's why we tell our gang members, don't dare go in the market till at 5 after 10. See, but people don't know how the market works. But that's just one example. That's just one example. So again, we also knew, look what happened yesterday with the bank called SVB. These regional banks, remember, they don't have the liquidity, but they have enough assets. So they have enough bonds. And when they don't have enough liquidity, they just sell some bonds. They got enough liquidity, and they run the banks. Everything's always fine. But when you got hit like yesterday, all the regional banks got clobbered yesterday. They didn't have enough. They couldn't raise enough liquidity fast enough. So that's why when Steve last Tuesday, he said, let's short all of them. We'll take the ETF KRE because they're going to have a big liquidity problem. And what's going to happen, these stocks are going to tank. And that's what happened. Now, and then another one was SIVB, or called SVB. It's a bank that's in Silicon Valley. The stock collapsed yesterday. I think it dropped from somewhere around $275 down to about $61. Why? Again, crowding out. See, when you crowd out and you take the money out of the savings of banks, and the government says, give me the money, right? So what happened yesterday, the same thing that happened, at least KRE didn't go out of business. This guy went out of business because they're in Silicon Valley. People show up to the bank, hey, we want our money. Give us our money. Give us our money. We're going to take all this money. We're going to give it, loan it to the government. My God, and get 5% in 3 months. They didn't have enough bonds. They couldn't sell. They didn't have enough liquidity. They didn't have enough bonds. So they were shut down. So they're actually shut down. Now you can say, well, the customer's okay because FDIC, they're insured $200,000. Are you nuts? You really believe that? The FDIC, they're underwater. They don't have enough money to take care of that. $200,000 per person. Are you kidding? They don't have enough money for $20,000 per person. I mean, give me a break. That's another big BS. So that's why we started to short the banks a couple of weeks ago. On the 7th, I said, let's start adding to Wells Fargo. Let's start adding to Citi. So we're way ahead of everybody because we understand how the market works. And Steve was way ahead of everybody because he understands crowding. He understood that the banks would not have enough time to sell their treasuries to raise enough liquidity, and all of these regional banks, okay, would be tanking, and they're going to continue to tank. So this is, again, crowding out is a cruel thing because crowding out is a partnership between government and banks. Just like there's a socialist partnership between Social Security and the government. There's a socialist partnership between the banks and government, and they always take care of the banks. And now they're going to blow these banks up. People are going to lose a lot of money again. And then what they're going to turn around is they're going to take care of the banks. They're going to lower interest rates back down. All these people who pay too much money for their houses, they're going to get wiped out again. People who pay too much money for their stocks, they're getting wiped out now. Okay, I mean stocks. Who the hell's going to be buying stocks, tech stocks, or bank stocks, or any stock that who's going to pay $19 for every $1 of earnings, or even $16 for every $1 of earnings? So the government's never on your side, never on your side. But if you understand what you're doing in the market, you understand how the market works, you use it to your advantage. Look what we did with the banks. Goldman Sachs. Now, again, I'm not saying every gang member made money. I don't know what every gang member made, okay? But if they follow what Steve and I and Willie teach every day, this is what they would have made using my color-coded chart. Goldman Sachs. We bought Goldman Sachs when nobody wanted it, up 18%. Then we turned around and we shorted it, okay? So it's down right now about, I think, 8%. Bank of America, we bought it on the upside, 9%. Then we turned around and shorted it. It's now minus 17%. So we have 9% to the good to the upside, 17% when we short it. Citibank, 10% to the good side. And then we're shorting it right now. It's now down 4%. Wells Fargo, up 14%. We're shorting it now the other way. So see, that's how you make money in this business. When you learn how to short, instead of all of a sudden you make money in a stock, like let's take our Citigroup, made 11%. Most 99% of the people, they get out and go look for another stock. Well, and why are they getting out? Well, they're getting out of the stock because they say it's going to go down. Get me out. Get me out. Or Goldman Sachs, they made 18% and they said, get me out. It's going to go down. Get me out. It's going to go down. Then they go look for another stock to buy. Well, wait a minute. Why are you buying stocks in a downtrend? The whole market's in a downtrend. Why don't you learn how to sell short? Just switch your position, make money on the way down. Our Qs, our SPY, we were working with our members yesterday. We told them do an inverse on those. So in other words, instead of shorting the spiders, look at that. The spiders finally broke through both the 50 and 200-day moving average. instead of shorting them at $385 a share, do an inverse at SDS, and you can short at $45 a share. The Qs are ready to break, and they just broke the 50-day moving average today. So instead of shorting it at $288 a share, you can buy the PSQ at $13. You see? So, and again, the other thing is, watch the small and mid-cap stocks. Those are the ones that always tell you if you're right or not. Okay? And I showed everybody RWM on February 15th. I said, follow RWM. It's telling us the market's going to collapse. The banks are going to collapse. We started to short them, and we were totally right. And look at that. RWM went right through the 50 and 200-day moving average. And that's the point. The point is that with that great trade that Steve made, he understood the market. He understood the small mid-cap banks. He understands what crowding out is. He knows the banks didn't have enough liquidity. They're going to have to sell they're going to sell a great portion of their bonds. And the problem when you do that, see, when they sell their bonds, when they start selling their bonds, the market gets worse. Because remember, when you sell your bonds, the yields go up, and the market goes down. So there's a lot of opportunity when you learn how to sell short. You don't have to sit there and get clobbered. But the biggest problem and people don't understand is not only the crowding out, they just don't understand the headwinds we're facing because of what Biden did. Okay? The headwinds are terrible. That American Rescue Plan destroyed us. I understand what happened. That American Rescue Plan alone, that 40-year high inflation he created, the biggest contributor of that American Rescue Plan, the biggest contributor is the inflation. 37% came from the American Rescue Plan. Oil, all that inflation from oil, cutting oil, right? 46% came from the American Rescue Plan. The supply chain contributed to the 40-year inflation, contributed 17%. And when you know these things, you know how to buy or sell a stock. Join my gang. Go to my site, philsgang.com.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grandy, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600.